Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a bit of a fangirl moment to this fantastic addition to the Craft the Flower family. The bearded iris became an instant favorite, and with the keyhole system, honestly, you cannot go wrong. It is so easy to line up these pieces. And I mean, look at the details of those dies, like with all the veins and the petals. Oh, stunning. Oh, so good. So I have these irises growing in my garden, and I took this picture for a bit of a color inspiration for something else. But I thought, you know what, we're gonna use that today to make a little something. Oh yes, we are. And the shades of purples fresh dye ink bundle was perfect for this. I'm also going to take out some ultraviolet, some Andromeda, and also some dusk, because, you know, a girl needs options. And yes, so I wasn't exactly sure which kind of color I was going to use and how to kind of mix them together, but we're going to essentially aim to get those colors in the photo onto our first iris. And I'm going to be using the grippy mat from the Stamp Wheel 2.0 to keep my little pieces in place. Now, what I should have done here is I should have consulted the back of the packaging. This shows me exactly which pieces I need. Instead, I just looked on the front and I was like, yeah, I can figure this out. But spoiler, I did not figure it out. I missed a couple of pieces. So you will see me trying to catch up with that a little bit later on. But here I was sort of relatively confident in my choices, but I did forget like the little detailed actual layers of the petals, so I completely forgot about those. But anyway, so we're going to make a little bit of space here. We're going to move things over. We're going to get our inks and our tools ready, and then we're just going to go to town. I'm going to start by adding a little bit of dusk to the top ends of the petals. Again, I kind of didn't really have much of a plan here, I must admit. I just kind of let it happen. And I think something that would have helped a little bit is if I'd actually put one of these together, even if, you know, no ink or anything like that on them first, just put one together and then sort of got a better understanding of where all of these pieces were gonna go. I mean, I suppose you could maybe get around that by looking at the back of the packaging and see like which one goes where. But I think I might do this in the future whenever I get a new Craft the Flower. Just kind of cut everything out of white cardstock, puzzle them together, get a better understanding of exactly what goes where, because then that will also help me with the color composition of the petals and where to add extra detail and where it isn't going to be necessary to add extra detail because that piece is going to be covered up. So this is something that I would have known if I had done that before, that on one of these pieces, so the back end of the piece, I wouldn't need to kind of add a lot of detail or put a lot of effort into adding contrast and depth and detail onto that piece, because a lot of that is going to be covered up by the other pieces. So maybe this is a memo for myself and for you as well, if you want to make things easier for yourself in the future, or if you're watching this video, you got this die set and you're like, oh, okay, well, I can save myself a lot of time here. So if that has ended up being the case, you are welcome. I am here to take one for the team. Yes, and make your crafting life easier and more fun as well. But honestly, this set, even with kind of it's not a waste of time, is it? You know, because I took away something from making this one and I learned something, which I'm now hoping, you know, I'll pass on to you so you can, you know, save yourself that. But I was really digging where this was going, because I'm like, hey, look at those petals. There's the magic. Ooh. And, you know, I wouldn't have needed to add quite so much like ink on some of these pieces if I had really understood like where everything was gonna go. But, you know, again, you live and learn. So I've done a little bit of yellow onto the stamens, and then I've also realized, you know, there's like the little bud piece and the stem and all of this. So I was a little bit all over the place with this, I will admit. But we're going to use some of these greens to add some color to our, is it still called a bud? Or like the the piece of the stem that kind of goes into the flower. I don't really know what that's called. I might have to come back to you on that one. Maybe I'll Google. Maybe I won't. Maybe it will stay a mystery forever. Anyway, so we're gonna add some greens to these pieces, and then we're gonna go on to doing like the rest of I say the rest of the leaves. We're gonna do a lot of leaves because I really wanted loads and loads and loads of leaves. So for like the irises that grow in my garden, they're actually giant irises. They're not bearded irises, but my irises have like loads and loads of leaves, and then you get one flower for maybe like, it's a really like leafy flower. So some of them have got like 10-20 leaves and only one flower. So I really wanted to keep them as kind of natural and real looking as possible. Now you would think with me consulting at the back of this that I would realize that I was missing pieces, but did I? No. Spoiler alert, I did not. No. So I am still kind of blissfully unaware here. So I'm just adding greens to my stem, and I'm like, oh, going to town with this and adding highlights and lowlights and trying to bring it to life. Still kind of like not even close to being aware of the fact that I'm still missing pieces. And then I'm just going to go ahead and try to assemble this and be like, oh, okay. But honestly, I mean, I got to the part here where this is, you know, where I'm essentially almost ready, I thought anyway, to put all of these pieces together. And now I'm like, oh, yes, okay, yeah, this doesn't look quite right. What am I missing? And I'm like, oh, yeah. One of those, and one of those. So it's back to ink blending. But for these two pieces, I did kind of, I'm not going to say cheat, but and skip the step is not even quite right either, but I just put down color quickly with these to essentially get ahead, you know, because at this point I'm like, I just want to finish a flower, okay? So I just kind of put a little bit of color here and a little bit of color there, and then luckily I did realize at one point that one of the pieces was upside down, so you know I managed to catch that in time to add like the contrast where I wanted it, and instead of like upside down. But so we're just going to finish off adding these last few pieces, and then we have one flower ready. Now obviously if you make sure that you have all of your pieces ready, all of them, every single little piece ready before you start assembling, assembly itself is so quick and easy. It really is. And I mean, the results speak for themselves. Look at this beauty. It's so stunning. I honestly, yeah. If you add just the one craft a flower to your whole range, this is the one, I think, because it is absolutely stunning. Now I have gone ahead here and I've done a lot more ink blending. And this time I try to remember to do all of the pieces. Yes, but I've actually essentially gone ahead and tried to remember to do, so every single one has like their matching pieces. So I'm essentially attempting to speak properly, which for some reason is very difficult today. Essentially, I was attempting to have pieces for 3 flowers done in one go. And I don't know why I'm only showing 2 here, because I did actually make 3 more flowers. And I'm going in with different kind of intensity of the inks, but for some of these pieces, if you really want like a kapow purple, the midnight violet, you can actually go and do every single piece with just this one color. And you need to not start strong, but you build up your color. So add a little bit first, and then you go in and add like the depth and the detail. So you can see here, this is all in real time now. So we're going to go slowly from the bottom of the part all the way up towards the end bit of the petal. And we're going to leave a little bit of white at the top, so that's kind of like where your highlight is. And this is really going to help you kind of bring in life and depth to your petals, and it will make such a difference to how your flower will look once it's fully assembled. It will really help bring that 3D look to life. So we're going to finish off all of these pieces and we're going to put them aside. And again, I don't know why there's only 2 showing here because I really did do all 3 of them. And you will see in the next clip, I will have 3 pieces for every single flower. Now it will be so easy and quick to assemble these. So this part here is actually sped up ×2. And I mean, what took the longest time at the moment was to kind of figure out why is my glue tube like blocked up. So for some reason, I have not had a lot of luck with this glue itself. It's supposed to never clog, yet mine always clogs and becomes like difficult to use. So I will probably move over to the Altenew glue tube because so far, I mean, I've only had it for like a week or 2, but so far I've had no problems with that one. So I'm hoping that that will kind of solve my clogged nozzle issues. But anyway, so we're gonna keep on making these flowers, and I know it kind of feels at the moment that we have skipped over the whole like greenery ink blending part, but I will show you in a little bit later on in the video just how to really kind of add like a lot of depth and dimension again to the leaves as well. And again, you only really need, if sort of push comes to shove, you only really need 1 green, but don't go for like a lightest green. So say like in the tropical forest ink bundle, for instance, the lightest one is called bamboo, the next one is called parrot. So go for parrot instead of the lightest one, because then you can build up your ink color very, very easily. You just need to let the ink dry a little bit in between. So it will take a little bit longer, but it means that you need less ink colors. So this is something to kind of weigh up for yourself. You know, do you feel like you want to be able to just kind of boom, get it all done in one go, then go in for maybe 2 colors? But okay, we're gonna stop there and look at our flower because oh yay. But now we're gonna go back here to the actual like greenery ink blending. So that first piece I just done with 1 color, and then the one on the left I had added a little bit of color with whatever was the closest one in that color family. And then I have gone in with reindeer moss here to really kind of bring this to life, because this green, this reindeer moss, oh, it's a very good green. It's a very, very, very good green. It has a very light touch of yellow undertone, so it works both for like sort of spring and for Christmassy. So it's a very, very good green. And I'm using a micro blending brush with this is the flat bristled one, and it gives you so much control of where you add your ink, and you can see what a difference it makes. Just that tiny, tiny little spot of extra, it just really makes these leaves come to life. And there's nothing wrong with just cutting them out of colored cardstock or just adding a little bit of ink color. You do whatever you feel is like your comfort level, but I'm a tad extra. I'm not gonna lie, I am. And I feel with ink blending, it's such a simple way of adding, you know, just a little bit of like that extra zoo, you know, to your bits and pieces. And so these 2 that are right there in the right hand corner, I cut them out of a scrap piece of cardstock, so they didn't cut out fully, but I'm still gonna ink blend them and I'm gonna use them because some of these are gonna be placed in such a fashion that they were gonna be cut off anyway. But now we're going to make some backgrounds for our beautiful flowers because they are so pretty. They really need something like nice and stunning to sit on to kind of really show them just how gorgeous they are. Now this is the Dancing Drops stencil, and I really, really like this one. Not just because it's kind of like a very abstract-y, so you can use it for birthdays, you can use it for sympathy, you can use it for hellos, all sorts. I really, really like this one. And I think it's a bit of a staple. Yes. I think it's currently sold out. So at the time when this video goes live, I think it's actually sold out because it just became so popular, right? For obvious reasons. But if you really, really want this one, make sure you click that notify me button on the product page and then get it as soon as it comes back into stock, because I'm fairly sure it's going to sell out again as soon as it comes back into stock, because it really is such a versatile stencil. And stencils in general are so versatile and so good. So here we have done a very kind of vibrant ombre, and we have used all 4 of the colors of this color family. This one is the Whispering Woodlands, and I think it might just have taken like the top spot for my greens, favorite greens. Yeah. Now we're going to take the same stencil after we have washed it off, obviously. And we're going to use some of the masking tape. So this is the Altenew's purple masking tape, and we're going to tape this down to our work mat. And we are going to use a little something magical called the Enchanted Gold Shimmer Relief Paste. Now, I've been a big fan of pastes for a long time, and I really like shimmer. I do. Hello, Shimmer Edit Erica here. Yes, I have never kind of hidden the fact that I really love shimmer. I love gold on cards and stuff like that. And this stuff really is, I mean, it's there in the name, enchanting. It really is an enchanting shade of gold. It looks beautiful when it's dried. And with this stencil, oh my goodness, it's just probably one of my favorite backgrounds I've ever made. And I mean, that's saying something, isn't it? And it's just on white cardstock. That's how gorgeous it is. White cardstock, little bit of enchanted gold, and a fabulous stencil. Honestly, it just... And this was all like done in real time as well. So this is how quick and easy it is to add the paste. So we're going to peel and reveal here now, because one of the things that you must remember when you use paste is that you must take off the stencil before that dries, because otherwise that stencil is stuck to your paper forever. Yes. And you need to wash it off as well while that paste is like somewhat wet still, because otherwise your stencil is going to be enchanted gold forever as well. Now this will need to dry, but it's so gorgeous, so gorgeous. Okay, so don't be tempted to touch that though. No. Now we're going to head back to our sticky mat, and we are going to use the foiled leaf stencil. And we're going to use the Whispering Woodlands inks again. Now there are 4 colors in this family, and the one I'm using now is called Limeade. So it's very, very, very yellowy. The next shade up is called Lime. We also have Fresh Leaf and then Reindeer Moss. And these colors, or these shades of green, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of green, really. Like, it's not my first choice of color. But for card making, and especially for backgrounds with flowers, it really, yes, it's hard to go wrong with a green, because it just kind of brings in that, like, natural element of nature, doesn't it? So this isn't quite dry yet, and I got a fingerprint in my paster, which I'm still cross about. But okay, we are going to move on, and hopefully this will serve as a reminder to you not to touch your paste until it is very, very dry. Or at least if you are going to touch it and you know somewhere where you're going to place your flowers, touch it in that spot, so that when you, if it's not dry and it leaves a mark, then at least it's going to be covered up by your flower. You know, a memo to self again. Do as I say, not as I do. And sometimes do as I do and not as I say, because it can be confusing. Anyway. Now, because I have made such a huge, like, jungle of greenery, I have so many pieces to choose from, and I'm so glad, because I really wanted each flower to kind of have, like, a real home of greenery. And I'm using kind of like my pre-placement technique here, where I'm putting everything down onto the card base where I kind of want it, and then we're taking off the flower. We're just lifting the leaves a little bit, and then we're placing a little bit of glue. We're not gluing the whole thing down. And here as well, because part of that leaf is going to be behind the flower and it's going to disappear, we're going to chop it off and we're going to replace it somewhere so that it will actually kind of, you'll get the most out of all of your pieces. So with leaves, I tend to not want to cut them, also glue them down completely flat, because I like the way the card kind of comes to life with a little bit of, you know, lift in them. It just, to me, it just seems like more natural. Yeah. And here again, we're going to chop this one off and we're going to add this somewhere else. And this is why when I was ink blending, I'm adding color to both the top and the bottom, because I don't know which one piece is going to get chopped and which one is going to be completely used. And it's better to just do all of the pieces as if you're going to use them whole. And then you can always decide later on whether you want to chop it or whether you're going to use the whole thing in wherever it's going to go onto your card. So for this flower here, we're going to pop a little bit of Instant Dimension foam tape on the back so that it again kind of sits forward a little bit. And again, this is just to kind of, you know, make it more natural and not so flat, because flowers are not flat. So why would they be flat on cards? You know, yeah, to me it doesn't make any sense. So we're just going to chippily chop off those little bits at the bottom there, and then, you know, this card just essentially needs a sentiment and then it's done. But we're going to carry on and we're going to finish our other cards here as well. So we are going to end up with 4 cards at the end of this actually. So there's going to be the sort of purpley one, and then there's going to be a purple blue one, and then there's going to be 3 of these with different kind of backgrounds as well. So I'm going to add a little bit more foam tape to this backing piece of double-sided tape, and it's just to make sure that I don't get sticky scissors, because I don't have Teflon scissors, so I need to protect my scissors, and because nobody's got time for sticky scissors. It's just a bleh. It's just a no thank you, pass, hard pass for that. So this is a way to avoid sticky scissors essentially. So we are going to make sure we have all our pieces prepped and ready, and then of course we're going to need some sentiments, and I found some really sweet ones from the Garden Whispers stamp set. So they had the coordinating die cut, so they get that like really nice tidy cut out, and I've also cut out extra pieces so that we can layer them up, because, you know, depth and texture and layers are life. So we're going to use this stupid glue again, and we're going to add the pieces together so that we get that nice stacked look. And then we're going to puzzle some of these around and see which one works best on which card. And then we are going to also do a little bit more ink blending with that gorgeous Dancing Droplets or Dancing Drops stencil to make a background for that purpley blue flower as well. But yeah, we are going to first off finish off this one here, and normally I'm not one for covering up flowers here, but I did actually have a little bit of a sticky glue boo-boo on this one here, so I thought, hey, that could be the perfect spot to put the sentiment, because it covers up the mistake or the boo-boo essentially, plus it really brings the focus onto the flower by placing the sentiment on top of the flower like that. Now here again, so mad at myself for messing that up, but we're going to fix it. Yes, we are. So we're going to take this, we're going to leave it to dry. So I have actually left it to dry. It is now completely dry, and we're going to cover up that as well. So the lesson of this is that if you do make a mistake on your background and you feel like, oh no, I've ruined it, there's almost always something you can do to fix it. So whether it be covering up with a sentiment, covering it up with a flower, or embellishment or something like that, you can almost always cover it up one way or another. So don't throw out anything, even if you feel like it's a mistake or it's ruined. There will be something that you can do to like cover up your mistakes. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to have a little mistake show on a card, because again, we're not aiming for like perfect, super duper perfection, you know, where it's a handmade card. It's not a mass-produced, perfectly executed card that there are like thousands of. This is a one-of-a-kind card. So remember to be kind to yourself even when you feel like you're making a mistake, because it's so easy to beat ourselves up about the mistakes and gonna be like, oh, everyone is gonna see it, everyone is gonna know it. No, they won't. I mean, except for if they watch your video and they're like, oh, there's a big old boo-boo behind that flower. I know it, you know that I know, girl. But it's okay. It really is okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. This is a hobby. It's supposed to bring us joy, not stress. So whatever you can do to reduce your stress when it comes to card making, do that. yeah, definitely do that. Now we're going to glue down these leaves. So the leaves are going to go not completely flat, because again, we're just going to add a blob of glue so that they will stick to the card, but we're not going to make them super flat. And then we're going to place the flowers with their instant dimension foam tape on top, so that there's again like a little bit of distance between the leaves and the flowers to just bring the whole thing to life, sort of thing. So that it just makes such a difference with the foam tape. It really does. It's such an amazing invention. I love foam tape. Oh, now I'm adding a little bit of glue here as well to the back of the foam tape, just to kind of make sure that I really get the flower in the right place, because at this point I really don't want to mess anything else up. Now we're going to put a little sentiment on here, and this one is stacked only twice because there's already quite a lot of height and dimension on this card. So we're not going to go crazy over the top. And I did place it slightly wonky, but again, it's handmade, not perfect. So there we go. And I am loving how this came out. This is probably my favorite out of all of the cards. And because of that liquid glue, I was able to turn that sentiment so that it's not quite as wonky. I still think it's slightly off center, but who cares? So for our final card, we are going to use that Dancing Drops Stencil again. Oh my goodness, I don't know why it's so difficult for me to say that. And I have all 4 of the inks from, this is the Bubblegum Dreams fresh dye ink bundle, but I actually ended up only using the baby pink. I did think that I was going to make a real like dramatic pinkalicious ombre again, but I managed to rein myself in, because the way I was ink blending here was kind of a little bit willy-nilly, and I was actually really digging the way this pink on its own kind of gives a little bit of like that touch of not ombre again, but like I just needed a little bit more here and there to really bring the stencil to life. And I'm like, hey, I mean, this is real pretty as it is, right? So I decided to leave it like this. Now I did make another one with like a proper ombre and then some shimmer relief paste on top of that, but I decided to, for this card, just stick to this pink background like this. And we're gonna add this flower, and then we're going to go for a word die cut that says be brave. But this one, we're gonna trim it down a little bit, because I think this panel was just slightly bigger than the actual card base, and also I kind of made it a little bit sort of off center, so there was just a little bit too much white on one space. So we're gonna get a little bit of a white frame around on this card here. And then we're going to add the Be Strong word die cut. So the shadow part is die cut out of the metallic gold cardstock. And then the Be Brave part is alone is, or itself is cut out of jet black cardstock to really kind of, it's making a strong statement here. And we're going to add this with a little bit of foam tape. So the flower is actually going to go quite flat. And then we're going to add the word sentiment with some foam tape. And this is just to kind of set it off a little bit from the flower to give it a little bit of depth and dimension. And I know I keep using those words, but they are so true. Now, the final little flourish for this card is going to be a few satin gold pearl drops. And I really could have added more, but I feel like I was reasonably restrained, actually. You know, reasonably restrained for me. You know, I am the president of Bling Town. You know, I'm always encouraging more bling. But for this one, I was like, you know, I maybe one here, maybe one there. But yeah, I've definitely gonna go on way more. But I feel like this is good. This is good. And I'm loving how this turned out. Now, I don't actually have a photo of that one, but we're going to show you all of the other ones. And then with that, we have reached the end of our video for today. I really hope you've enjoyed this and that you have learned a little something, what to do and what not to do. And I hope to see you soon again. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click that little bell button so you don't miss any more uploads. And hit me with a comment. Tell me which one is your favorite. I'll see you soon again. Bye for now.